Two cold cases, long forgotten mysterious murders that have happened 30 to 40 years ago, have finally been solved in 2021, all thanks to genetic genealogy. What is genetic genealogy, and how did it help solve a 45-year-old cold case? Genetic genealogy is the use of DNA testing to define relationships between individuals, find genetic matches, and discovering one ancestry. The sphere of genetic genealogy has increased over the past few years as testing has become more accessible, popular, and affordable. But it also helps the police solve cold cases that have been gathering dust on their shelves for decades. The oldest cold case in Wisconsin were of David Schultz and Alan Matthews, engaged to be a married couple that was brutally murdered back in July of 1976. On the day of July 9th, the pair set up their campsite at a secluded spot in McClintock Park in Athelston, Wisconsin, and it appeared that they were alone. David Schultz was a 25-year-old part-timer serving in the circulation department of the Green Bay Press-Gazette. Matthews was 24 and served at the University of Wisconsin Green Bay Library. They were both walking in the park when Matthews stopped to use the public restroom. Two shots from a .30 caliber rifle broke the quiet. One bullet hit Schultz's neck from 50 feet away, killing him instantly, and the other bullet was stuck in a bathroom wall. Matthews ran, and with the killer in pursuit, the savage man caught and raped her, then shot her twice in the chest after he was finished. Matthews' body was found 200 yards away from Schultz's body. Investigators were stumped. The killer took no money and left Matthews' purse in the couple's car. They didn't understand why the couple was targeted, and there was no leads. For months, campers bypassed McClintock Park with the fear that they would get hurt themselves. DNA profiling in the 90s brought the light of hope, but detectives got no matches when they provided the semen from Matthews' shorts to the FBI's national database. The evidence was kept for decades, waiting for the moment when technology developed enough to use them. And that moment came in 2019 when detectives contacted Virginia-based Parabon Nanolabs, which is a DNA technology company whose work with genetic genealogy analysis has helped police identify 55 suspects in cold cases nationwide. Parabon uploads DNA data from crime scenes to GEDmatch, a free public genealogy database with about 1.2 million profiles, all voluntarily provided by people who have used consumer genealogy sites like Ancestry.com and 23andMe. Remarkably, California law enforcement used GEDmatch to catch the alleged Golden State Killer by finding distant relatives and reverse engineering his family tree. In the fall of 2018, a genealogist succeeded in narrowing down suspects to a family with ties to the Green Bay area, the Venny Ewenhovens. Investigators inspected that one of the Venny Ewenhovens' son and obtained a garbage bag from his home. Socks, a bandage, and an inhaler were sent to the crime lab for testing, and it was proven that he wasn't their suspect. Detectives moved on to the next brother. One of them had coffee with the second Venny Ewenhoven's brother and took the man's cup for DNA analysis. He was not the match. The last subject was Raymond Venny Ewenhoven, a helpful 82-year-old handyman with a gravelly voice and a loud, distinctive laugh. The widower and father of 5 adult children have lived quietly and peacefully for 2 decades among the 800 citizens of Lakewood, a northern Wisconsin town surrounded by forests and small lakes. Raymond Venny Ewenhoven have lived in plain sight and outside detectives' radar for almost 43 years. On March 6th, 2 sheriff detectives knocked on Venny Ewenhoven's door, both detectives acting like they wanted him to fill out a short survey on area policing. They told Raymond to put the survey in an envelope and seal it with his tongue. Detectives didn't need to visit the 4th brother. Saliva from the envelope came to the Wisconsin State Crime Lab, and the complaints state that it was a single source of male DNA profile developed from semen found on Allie Mathen's shorts. 6 days later, Raymond Venny Ewenhoven was arrested and charged. 70 years old Kurt Schultz, a cousin of the victim of David Schultz in Green Bay, welcomed the news of an arrest, but grieved the time it took. He just got away with it for way too long, unfortunately. I may have been very young. However, I clearly remember the horrible pain in my family voices, seeing the anguish and sorrow written on their voices. It was a long time coming, said Cynthia Shizak, Matthew's niece, who is 59 and lives in Henderson, Nevada. It's just something that always hangs over your head, knowing that there's someone out there who did this heinous crime. Meanwhile, prosecutors and Lakewood residents were left with the question: who is Raymond Lawrence Venny Ewenhoven? Richard LeQuinn, twin brother of Ray's dead wife, Rita, said his brother-in-law was a very loving father to his wife and kids. He's still convinced that Venny Ewenhoven is innocent. The Venny Ewenhovens were married until she died in 2008, a few months after they celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. After Rita died, Ray spent his days fishing, hunting, and going on week-long camping trips. But Venny Ewenhoven had a dark side, and it appeared that this wasn't his first time in jail. In 1957, when he was a 20-year-old married man and went by the name of Lawrence Venny Ewenhoven, Ray was charged for 6 months for an unprovoked attack on a 17-year-old girl. The girl walked with 3 friends when Stray struck her on the back, face, and shoulder. Shortly before, police said that Ray also tried to attack a 16-year-old girl. Ray said before sentencing he was only trying to scare the girls, but in 1960, Ray pled guilty to not providing financial aid to his wife for their 1-year-old daughter. He was on probation for 1 year. Although, some neighbors caught glimpses of a bad side when he drank, Ray stopped only a few years ago for his health. I know this much. When he was drinking, he was one son of a You didn't want to be near him when he was drinking. Not just me, but a lot of people, shared friend Manson, who worked at the town dump where Vinnie E. Wenhoven was seen occasionally, rummaging through scrap piles for small engine parts. In fact, the neighbors knew nothing about this man. For instance, it's unclear where Ray worked before retiring. Sinky said Vinnie E. Wenhoven was an iron worker, while Ray also told Sinky he used to haul and deliver boats. People had the impression that he was a normal person, just a retired guy. It appeared at first that a man with such a reputation among his neighbors would leave the court as a free man. Right after Ray's arrest, the sexual assault charges were dismissed. After the charges were filed, the defense noted Wisconsin has a 6-year statute of limitations on sexual assault charges, and on May 20, 2019, Judge Morrison agreed and dismissed that count. However, there is no statute of limitations for homicide charges, and on July 2019, Vinnie E. Wenhoven pled not guilty to the murder charges. 2 years later, on August 26, 2021, the final trial took place. Raymond Vinnie E. Wenhoven, at the age of 84, was charged with 2 consecutive life sentences. Not guilty, not guilty, not guilty, Ray said when the judge asked him if he understood the charges. Ray's youngest daughter read a statement in front of the court. She still believes her father's been wrongfully convicted and will always believe he has no part in the crimes. You are my father. You will always be my dad. And I love you. And I always will love you, she said. 2 life sentences for an 84-year-old man. Do you think justice has been served after 40 years of not getting caught? And also, do you believe that genetic genealogy will help solve more cold cases and bring more families into peace? What do you think? Number 1. In 1982, a woman's body was discovered 5 miles south of Breckenridge, Colorado. She had been shot twice. While the only 2 clues of the crime scene were a set of house keys and 1 orange sock, the keys belonged to the dead woman, but the orange sock did not. Half a year later and 13 miles away, another woman's body was discovered, and she had also been shot to death. Police were stunned when they found out that she was wearing the other match for the orange sock. Both cold cases, almost 39 years ago, are finally solved in 2021 thanks to genetic genealogy. It is an advancing scientific method which combines DNA analysis, profiling, and genealogy, and it is used more frequently among law enforcement professionals worldwide. The murdered women were both Colorado locals, 29-year-old Bobby Oberholzer and 21 Annette K. Schnee. They both disappeared on January 7th. And both had been shot with a medium-caliber revolver. The crime scenes were located miles away from one another, with the bodies found 6 months apart. Still, police believed that both women were killed on the same night and by the same person. Their prime suspect was Bobby's husband, Jeff Oberholzer. I can only say that I didn't do anything. As a matter of fact, we had just planned several days before that it was time for us to have children. I miss my wife. I did not kill her. Bobby and Jeff got married on July 1st, 1977, 4.5 years before Bobby was killed. Jeff ran an appliance repair business, while Bobby worked as a receptionist. As Jeff stated on the day of Bobby's death, started the day off as usual. She left home around 7:15 a.m. and hitchhiked to work. Everybody hitchhiked. You got to know the people in the town, and they got to know you, and they looked out for you to take you over and back if you needed a ride. At 6:20 p.m., Bobby called to let Jeff know that she would have drinks with friends after work. She said that she was at the village pub and that she was with her friends and that she'd be home soon. So I proceeded to make dinner and waited for her to come home. I woke up around midnight and Bobby wasn't home yet. And I thought maybe she was kicking up her heels just a little bit and had forgotten about the time, but she never came back home, and I knew that something was not right. Jeff went into Breckenridge to look for Bobby. Her friends said that she had left the bar around 7:30 p.m. When Jeff came to the police to tell them that Bobby was missing, they declared that it was too early to file for a missing person report. Eventually, he drove back home to wait for Bobby. The following day, a farmer who lived 30 miles away from outside of Breckenridge found Bobby's driver's license on his property. While Jeff and his 2 friends went to go pick it up, they made a shocking discovery. I spotted a blue spot in the snow. Her backpack was blue, so we stopped. With the backpack, they found one of Bobby's gloves, splattered with blood and several bloody tissues. Jeff's friends helped him organize the search. They found Bobby's dead body, more than 15 miles away from where her backpack was discovered 2 hours later. At the crime scene, police found 3 clues. The footprints found near the body were Bobby's. A plastic cord was tied around one of her wrists, and the mysterious single orange sock was found nearby. The same day Bobby's body was discovered, another woman, Annette Cheney, was reported missing. Annette served as a cocktail waitress in Frisco, Colorado. Like Bobby, she often hitchhiked to work. Right from the beginning, police suggested that 2 cases were connected. Ex-agent of Colorado Brewer Investigations, Jim Hardick, was investigating the case. When I first asked Jeff if he knew Annette Cheney, he denied it. It was several days later, after seeing her picture in the newspaper, that he came to me and said that he did know Annette and that he gave her a business card. In a strange coincidence, Jeff claimed that he had once drove Annette when she was hitchhiking. Plus, he had given her his business card. However, he had never seen or heard about Annette since that day. And on July 3rd, 1982, 6 months after Annette's disappeared, the police discovered her body. Officers were stunned, and she was wearing the other orange sock. Jeff's business card was also found inside her wallet. Park County Sheriff Robert Harrison thought that the connection was apparent. The fact that 2 victims would both be associated or known by one individual, well, it makes the investigation tend to focus on Jeff Oberholzer as the primary suspect. Authorities pieced the puzzle together in a scenario for the 2 murders. Annette was last witnessed in Breckenridge at 4 p.m. involved in a conflict conversation with a dark-haired woman. Police think that around 5 p.m. Annette left to hitchhike home. The murderer picked her up and drove 20 miles south of Breckenridge. He took Annette down to a short dead end while sexually assaulting her. Richard Eden was the Summit County Sheriff. While she was getting dressed, she apparently found one long sock, put it on, and couldn't find the second long sock, and then put an orange bootie on her other foot and her boots on. She apparently escaped, and while running away, she was shot in the back. Police thought that the killer then drove back to Breckenridge and hunted down his second victim, Bobby Oberholzer. The killer took Bobby 10 miles south of Breckenridge to a scenic overlook where he eventually tried to rape her. When Bobby ran away from the vehicle, the booty fell out. The madman then chased her down the road and shot her twice as she turned away. Meanwhile, Jeff Oberholzer believed his wife knew her killer. My wife wouldn't have gotten into a vehicle with just a random guy. She knew that she can call for a ride if she wanted to. I think she knew the person and that if they left together, it was a promise to take her home. 2 months after the murder of his wife, Jeff took a polygraph exam and passed. From the first day, Jeff insisted that he had a rock-solid alibi. He said that when the murders were committed, he was at home visiting with a friend, but Jeff could not present any witness for the police. Ultimately, in December of 1990, Jeff's friend surfaced. Sheriff Eden was interviewing the man. He stated that he was at Jeff's house that night. However, the times that he gave us did not match up with the times that Jeff had given us. Jeff Oberholzer kept stating that he was innocent. As far as the finger being pointed at me, I'm still very angry about that. If different agencies had pursued different avenues and didn't concentrate so much on trying to find me guilty, we might have found out who did this to these girls. Finally, the Summit County Sheriff's Department has cleared Jeff as a suspect in the murder of both his wife, Bobby Oberholzer, and Annette Cheney. Despite so many tips over the years, the Park County Sheriff's Office made no arrests. But today, advancement in genetic genealogy and DNA evidence point to one man, 70-year-old Alan Phillips. The same day the girls went missing, he was rescued from the snowy wilderness and made it on the local news. On the dramatic night of January 6, 1982, Alan Phillips was found trapped in his car in Guanella Pass in the Rocky Mountains. He had clothes, an emergency blanket, and a flashlight. The latter he pointed out in the sky, flashing SOS in Morse code. Jefferson County Sheriff Harold Bray was a passenger on a commercial flight overhead. He recognized the SOS and alerted the flight crew, who notified the Clear Creek County Sheriff's Office below. Soon, local fire chief Dave Matoya rescued the poor guy. Sure as heck there he was in his pickup. He saw me and said, "Oh God, I'm saved." The poor guy was Phillips, a local man. He refused medical attention despite a sizable bruise on his face. Phillips is now a suspect in the murders of 2 women. It was later revealed that the 2 victims never met each other. 4 decades later, the families of the brutality murdered women are expressing their gratitudes to the investigating agencies for continuing the case. Jeff Oberholzer, the ex-main suspect for almost 40 years, shared a statement. "I pray that the arrest of Alan Phillips for the murder of my wife Bobby Jo and Annette Cheney will finally, after all these decades, bring closure and peace to this hideous nightmare for myself, along with all the lives that he has horribly affected by his actions." Annette Cheney's mother, Eileen Franklin, age 88, also had something to say. "You know, I thought there'd be no closure. I thought maybe I'd be gone before I had closure to this case. I'm ready to go when it's my time now." Alan Phillips is now charged with 2 counts of first-degree kidnapping, first-degree assault, and first-degree murder. So there you guys have it, 2 cases about genetic genealogy and how it solved 2 cold cases. Any questions or ideas on the next few projects, let me know under the comment section below. Until then, see you guys in the next video.